My name is Irene Martinetti. I am Italian and I work for WFUNA, the World Federation of United Nations Associations in Geneva. I've been living here for about 5 years now. As mentioned before, I am the Director of Programs at the Geneva office of WFUNA. That means that I am responsible for the overall management of the office, running the office and making sure that everything is working, finances, etc. I am also responsible for membership coordination and coordination of interaction amongst the UNAs of Africa and Europe. We organize regularly meetings for our UNAs, especially in Europe, to meet and interact with each other. We organize meetings twice a year. Once is in Geneva as well, and I'm in charge of organizing those meetings. And membership coordination also means that I'm in charge of facilitating establishment or the acceptance process of the new UNAs in WFUNA. I'm also responsible for our human rights program. We have several programs at the Geneva office, trainings also for young people, but I am responsible for our civil society in action for human rights program. This is a capacity building program for our United Nations associations where they learn how to interact with human rights mechanisms as well as how to manage projects and carry out implement projects on human rights at the national level. I am also responsible for governance, which is servicing our board. Every time we have board meetings, which is every 6 months, or our big plenary every 3 years, everyone at the office is responsible to produce documents and organize these meetings. So this is a shared responsibility for all of us, but nonetheless a very important one. My academic background is I've had somewhat two career paths. My first academic background has been my university degree in Italy in Chinese studies. I have a master's therefore in East Asian studies from the University of Venice in Italy, and then after that I went on to China, where I lived and worked for about 5 years. I mostly worked in the private sector when I was in China, and then I moved on with an internship at the BBC office in Beijing, and decided to keep on studying and doing my master's in development. I did therefore a master in the United States at Columbia University in international affairs, and that was from 2004 to 2006. I think motivation was my biggest drive. I had been working for a brief stint in private sector when I was in China. I did enjoy the experience, but there was something lacking for me at personal level. I wanted to be working for somehow the common good, if you can say. I wanted to be able to make an impact in situations that I felt were difficult. So I'm not sure that I'm achieving this in this job, but we are really trying as much as we can to have an impact on the ground. And the job of WFUNA is a job that certainly allows us to have a very strong link with situations on the ground, thanks to our associations at the national level. Multitasking. Multitasking is the most important skill, as well as flexibility. We are an NGO, we're an independent civil society organization. We do not receive big amounts of funding. Our funding is program-based mostly, and obviously there is part of funding that is core costs, but we do not have the luxury of having administrative staff, and therefore all our programs we run ourselves from A to Z, and we're responsible for everything. And obviously that entails also sometimes some tedious tasks that, however, make our work very diverse. we are never doing the same thing every day. There's a lot of many different tasks and experiences and expertise that then develops from what we're doing on a daily basis. And so I think multitasking, flexibility, obviously good knowledge of international affairs, understanding of the way member states interact amongst each other. It's very important. I think my studies in that sense, Colombia, international affairs, I did there both human rights and security, were extremely helpful to help me understand how states think and interact amongst each other. Well, the positive aspect, as I said before, is the fact that we managed to have a strong link with our members at the national level. I do enjoy that, and we're obviously very close as well to policy decision making that happens both in Geneva and New York, and I'd really enjoy that link that we can represent for people on the ground, for citizens, to what happens here at the UN, and simplifying, demystifying somehow some of the aspects that can look a little bit convoluted sometimes. I do enjoy that very much. I also enjoy very much working on the ground, doing trainings, for example, and capacity building together with our associations at the national level. Negative aspects, as I said, sometimes there's some tedious work that's administrative mostly, and it's boring. But you know, you put on the music and it just goes really quickly. So I wouldn't. It's not even negative. It just makes the work different. Yeah. I have perhaps as a recent experience that we've had with work here has been a training that we organized in Tanzania on climate change and how to advocate effectively within UN mechanisms about the issue of climate change for civil society organizations in East Africa. And this was an extremely eye-opening experience for me, understanding the extent to which the civil society organizations on the ground struggle with the adverse effects of climate change, as well as with understanding how they understand the UN and how the UN can help them in their struggle. It was, I think, a highlight for me recently. We also had a very interesting conference that we organized in China that was in 2011 on responsibility to protect. And for us it was a big achievement to be able to organize a conference on such a difficult issue in China, which was very open in terms of the discussions that we could have and the liberty that we had organizing it. And obviously it's interesting for me for my China background as well. For me, Geneva itself is the ideal place to be. I'm Italian. I come from north of Italy, fairly close to Geneva. So my family is very close, and Geneva is the second most international city in the world. So for someone like me who enjoys so much working in an international environment, Geneva as an international city, as a city of international institutions is an incredible opportunity. We have the chance to meet so many people from different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, as well as obviously education. And it allows us to become even more rich in our experience and knowledge. And it's a small city at the same time. Therefore, it allows us to meet each other quite often. I've lived in New York before as well, and it's obviously a fantastic city, but that aspect of being able to meet people so often, same people so often, wasn't so much there, in the sense that Geneva it's so small that it allows you to have that community feel almost. added to this incredible international perspective. I do also appreciate that the international is not just institutions, but it's also the banks and the headquarters of several companies in the private sector. So this makes it diverse in a way that's quite rare to see in other cities, so small especially. I think the most important thing for young people who are interested in a career in international development cooperation is to start from experiences in the field as much as they can, as young as they can. If they can start even working with a small NGO on the ground at the national level, try and do as much as they can and really become multitaskers and flexible and able to run a program from A to Z, acquire those skills, those diplomatic skills as well that allow you to interact with people from different backgrounds. And that's the most important thing for me. Obviously, all the reading that needs doing is there. Very often we do it at university, but that's not enough. Another suggestion that I have is to really develop project management skills. Take the opportunity to take classes, trainings. Those are very important skills in this field, I find, that don't necessarily we have at university. We are given, at least at university, all that's budgeting, monitoring, evaluation. It's extremely important.